Well, there has been a historical error. The situation is that the half-yearly decision on the consumption of Russian property, which has always been unanimous, has been terminated, it has been suspended, and it has been found that a majority decision can be made instead of a unanimous one. I think that is a historical error. It will have very serious consequences. Obviously, we are dealing with an open violation of justice. We are using a section of the Constitution for this decision, which has nothing to do with this situation. This is what they do in member states as well, but this is an open violation of justice. Such a position cannot be defended in courts. The EU, however, has stepped up to this very dangerous path. And indeed, from now on, the question is open to who. If the rights could have been violated once, the members could have been excluded. They could have done it another time. There is now a completely different area, but a similar problem. This is Mr. Mercos's question, where the Brussels bureaucrats want to sign Mr. Mercos's resolution that the decisions and rights of the member states should be excluded. This is a collusion, a coup d'etat. There is no other word for this. Collusion is taking place with the member states. And the fear that this could happen in other areas as well, and with others as well, not just the Hungarians, is a real fear. This needs to be stopped. I am curious whether the member states will be able to stop Brussels. This is necessary and urgent. The European leadership has many crimes. The current European leadership has a few historical errors, which can be classified as a crime. This is what the green transition was like, this completely chaotic, headless way of destroying European economies. First of all. Second, migration support. Third, war. I have to say that there have been some misguided errors in the past. The European Union and the European member states have been led into such a pit that we no longer have to argue about, but have to slowly show to someone who is responsible. How did we get here? They have destroyed the entire European economy. When von der Leyen entered office, this was a competitive region. There was no question of war. This was a peace project. Now we are at war. We got here because someone is responsible. Here it's a mess. So I think that the withdrawal from Russian energy is a mess. The right thing to do is to have something other than Russian energy available to the member states and to the continent. Let's diversify. The more you stand on your feet, the more stable you are. But cutting yourself off from the most important source of income is a stupidity, and it goes against Hungarian interests. We will always fight against this. So far, we have done quite well. No, never.
We will never make a decision to cut off any energy from the source, because the goal is not to cut off anything, but to diversify, to reach as many sources as possible. What we are doing to Russia now is an unconscious act. We are cutting ourselves off from one of the most abundant and cheapest sources. This is completely unreasonable, incomprehensible, economically irrational. Of course, we have to buy from others. This will be necessary in the next period as well. In fact, we are not only buying oil and gas, but we are buying entire fields. So now Hungary has entered the historical era when we are not only responding to our own energy expenditure by buying from different countries and diversifying, but we are buying fields from Hungary, from the state companies, from the MWM, from one of the large private companies. So today, Hungary already has oil and gas fields, and we have to continue this policy.
Well, this business belongs to the traders.
We are having clarifying talks about what this is really about. This cannot be understood in the language of Hungarian law, so we cannot question anything. In Hungarian law, we do not know that something like this cannot be questioned. In some cases, there is something like the denial of Holocaust, that a fact cannot be denied. But the existence of the Beneš decrees, that they exist, no one denies that fact. The debate is about whether they are good or not. Are they good or not? Do they have to stay this way? Can they be changed? So I think we should first clarify exactly what the new law is about. We are also in touch with the Hungarians in the Upper Hungary. I'm sorry, I don't want to make fun of you. It's about the fact that the plan was to use the Russian money to finance Ukraine, which I think is an open military message. So now that we think about it, what are we talking about? There are two countries that are at war with each other. One of them will receive the money, more than 200 billion euros. Then the one who receives it, who is a third party, who is not in the war, but in the Ukrainian-Russian war, will be the actor and will give this money to one of the warring parties. What is this? This is a military message. This is a step into a war. So it would be a terrible mistake if we followed it. But as I see it, based on today's news, that in the afternoon background meetings, as if we had won, and tomorrow we will no longer talk about the frozen Russian money because we finally managed to understand what was said before, and we will probably take it off the table. But then the question arises that if they want to continue the war, then how should it happen? And this is what the suggestion will be, that we take up the belief together, which is unacceptable for Hungary. And according to our calculations, the price of war is the price of peace. Moreover, if they die in the war, no one will die in peace. So we suggest that the whole strategy, which is a wrong EU strategy, and a war-supporting strategy, should be put aside. Let's make a backdraft. Let's get out of this cage and start a peace policy. This can be done in the easiest way, by standing behind the President of the United States and saying that now we have only one thing to do, to successfully help the President of the United States to create peace. We have so much to do, we should not decide on anything else.
For Ukraine, as long as Hungary doesn't have to put any money.
I think to raise the level of indebtedness of the European Union by itself, regardless of Ukraine, by itself, is a strategic mistake, whatever is the reason for that. So don't do that. That's my proposal. Sorry.